Well, I like making food that tastes good, and I don't even mind making food that tastes bad. But if I had to choose, I think I'd pick the former. So if you want to know how to make it a little bit better, but maybe not quite as good as it maybe could be, I think that you should listen to what I'm talking about. And if you learn a little something from this, well, I hope it served a purpose, and hey, that's what we're here for. Good, better. Nailed it. Woo!
Hello, and welcome to the Cook Better podcast. My name is Corey, and welcome to episode 21. It's been 21 episodes already. It's been going by quick. It goes by quick until I go, I've got to record an episode. And then I do not have much time. Well, that is going by quick. That's exactly what time going by quick means, I suppose. I didn't think that went through all the way. But it's been cool. It's been interesting to see the response from people, and just it's just been a good time. But yeah, so we're at episode 21. I hope you're having a great week. I had a good week, not gonna lie. We started off with weather like always. It was a beautiful week here in Michigan, and the weather has turned slightly, knock on wood somewhere, and got some stuff done outside. I had a really big sense of accomplishment this week, and it was something really simple, not anything real special for many people. For some people, it probably would be. I have a lot of home projects, a lot of stuff constantly going on, and I hope it doesn't come off as braggy. I think I'm good at a lot of things. I think that there are a lot of people that are good at a lot of things, or at maybe just slightly above average. Some things I'm really good at. Some things I'm mediocre at. Some things I'm bad at. But building stuff and doing home projects and things like that, I think that I'm, on the good side of that. And I'm willing to tackle pretty much any project. I've got a construction background, so obviously anything building-wise, a deck, screwing things together, nailing things together, anything like that, I'm all in on, and it doesn't worry me at all. And I probably have a better knowledge on a lot of things than I built my house, framed it all, did all that, and so I'm confident in that area. But where I'm not, and a part of the general building envelope, so to speak, would be electrical. I'm okay with plumbing, minor stuff with plumbing. Whatever. I can put a new toilet in. I can fix a drain. I can whatever. But electrical, everybody rightly is a little scared of electrical usually because of the fact that it can kill you or it can burn your house down. And so it's a good idea not to do it yourself if you are not a person that is certified and trained. But I have got, thankfully, a neighbor who is an electrician and is very good at what he does, and is been a good person for me to bounce ideas off or ask questions, really, and how to properly install different things. And I'm not doing anything major, but I had a project I had, and it would involve some electrical, and I did it correctly, and it was a little more involved than stuff than things I'd done in the past. So obviously I had him double check me, make sure everything was good and up to snuff. But it just made me feel good. I did it. I was real vague. I said, don't tell me step by step. I think I know how to do it. I just want to verify at the end that I'm doing everything right before I say it's all good. And he took a look at it. So anyway, that's being very vague, but it was pretty cool. And Something that most people probably don't really care about. I really enjoy woodworking and things like that. I do a lot of woodworking, anything creative. I think if you're somebody listening to this, I'm guessing you want to learn to cook, or you already know how to cook, and you might be better than I am. But in my mind, if you're somebody who wants to do more than just get food on the table, if you want to experiment a little bit, then you're somebody like myself who I would say I'm a little bit more of a creative person. And that doesn't mean I have to be the best at creating, but I think there's a commonality in there. And I think even in construction too, there's some creativity there. One of the things I enjoy most is that the material that I get when I build walls and we're putting ceilings up and things like that, it comes in a box. If it's ceiling grid, or we get a bunk of metal studs delivered to the job, multiple bunks obviously, and track, and they're just in a pile on the ground. And then you turn around at the end of the day and you can see what you've created. Now, somebody drew a picture of it, you're following that, the architect's thing, but there's a creative aspect to it that I really enjoy. And just physically being able to see the fruits of your labor. And I think that cooking is very similar to that. Very similar to the building process in general, or painting for that matter. You start with these individual materials. In food, we've got our flour and salt and sugar or whatever, our vegetables and our proteins, and then we take those raw materials that on their own are just in a bag, and you convert them into a loaf of bread, or you make just this beautiful meal. And so I think that anything creative, but if you're interested in cooking, I think you're a creative person. And I find that a lot with the people that I talk to. The people that enjoy cooking also enjoy gardening or woodworking or music. I love music too. That's another thing. And that's just an instrument that anybody can put in, whatever it might be, a guitar or a piano, is just this thing that you hand to somebody, and then they make a sound that sounds hopefully good. So it's just cool. I don't know why I brought that up, but I just think that creative process is just a part of cooking as well. I think we're ready to get moving on. I just hope you had a good week. I did. And so, yeah, let's get going.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, if I can direct your attention to the meals from last week.
What in the world did I make last week? I'm not going to lie to you. It was a bad week for somebody who has a cooking podcast. Not going to lie. It's not a good thing. The weather turns nice, and there's a period. I think I hit this every spring. It'll be interesting if I keeping track of what I've made every week, how this would translate. If I could do it a full year, that'd be amazing. I think that'd be insane. But when the weather turns, you want to get outside, and you want to be doing something. You've got projects to catch up on, and cooking is not high on the priority list anymore for a short time. And then I go, you know what? I've been eating like garbage for the last few weeks, and it's time to get back into it. And I think that's what's slowly happening to me. But here we go. I left off last week. Let's see. With that chicken breast thing that I'd been making quite often, and I think I'm going to make that again this coming week, but that's not what this is about. The date last time, this would have been May 1st, that I was, that would be day one here. So I had this margarita dip with pizza puffs, or margarita dip. It had like a naan bread almost with Parmesan and everything, and some pizza puffs that came with a marinara sauce and a nacho-style cheese dip. Now, if you're wondering what all exists in that, all you have to do is look up Uccello's restaurant, and you will find it on their menu. I did not make dinner. I went out, my brother and I believe it or not, won some tickets to a concert on the radio. Called in, I was the right number, so we had a concert on Thursday night. My wife did not want to go. I barely got the, do you want to go? And she's, nope, do not want to go. So my brother went with me, which was a lot of fun, and it was to the Linkin Park concert. Linkin Park is a band that came out, boy, I don't know when their first album was released, but it was in my formative years, I'll say that. I don't know if I was in junior high, something like that, maybe just getting into high school, possibly. But they were a sound that I had never really heard before, and just a band that I liked a lot throughout high school. And it was cool to win free tickets and awesome to see the concert. They have a new lead singer. She is phenomenal. Chester Bennington was the old lead singer. That guy had a phenomenal voice, and he could belt it out like just unbelievable. But Emily Armstrong, their new lead singer, is a female, obviously, so she's got a different sound, but she can just phenomenal. It was a great concert, and it was a lot of fun. We got margarita dip, which I think had like it was some sort of like goat's milk cheese. I don't know if it was ricotta. I don't think it was ricotta. It seemed to have a little more tang than a ricotta. Very well could have been. I didn't even look, but it's basically a marinara sauce with what seems like a ricotta consistency. And then it also had a pesto on top, and you dip this naan bread that had some Italian seasoning and Parmesan dusted over the top, grated over the top. And that was really good. And then we had gotten that, and then we went to a brewery and got a beer before we went to the concert. And that was awesome. Very good. The next night, I made tacos. And more specifically, I made crunch wraps. If you don't know what a crunch wrap is, it kind of was, I don't know if it was invented by Taco Bell, but that's where I learned it from. I don't think we're talking a traditional Mexican preparation here necessarily, but if I said that I had a flour tortilla with a tostada shell inside with seasoned beef, and now I'm just like reading a Taco Bell menu basically, but that's kind of what it is. But I made the beef seasoning from scratch. I tried something different. I had found a recipe where you take your beef and then you use the seasonings, the cumin, the chili powder, the cayenne pepper, and the oregano. Put some oregano in there. It called for oat flour to kind of thicken it up a little bit. I didn't have any oat flour, just used all-purpose. It was a substitution. Sometimes I think, like I've said before, I can be afraid to make a recipe because I don't have all of the ingredients or the exact ingredients. I had oats, like oatmeal, and you can make oat flour by putting those in the food processor and just pulverizing and turning them into powder pretty much. But I did not want to get my food processor out and make a mess. So I didn't do that. Just used regular flour, which it still tasted fantastic. In the little bit that I used anyway, I don't know that it would have even been a noticeable flavor difference. Maybe, but I can't imagine that it would have been too great of a difference. But it had that, and then the two ingredients in that beef, the beef mixture that were different was I also put some a tomato paste and then some beef base. And I've used beef base before. I have it for like gravies or for some sauces to just use just a big boost of flavor, almost like a bouillon. It's like a bouillon, but I got it from Gordon Foods. And that tomato paste and that beef base put in the pan and then just added a little bit of liquid after that. But you want to get kind of toast, so to speak. You want to heat up and cook that tomato paste just a little bit so that it's not so raw and acidic. And then with that beef base too, it just made a really good flavor. And honestly, I thought it was really good. It was a great meat. And then you just take your flour tortilla, put your meat on there, and do sour cream or lettuce and tomato or whatever you want. I added some jalapenos, some white onion, and a tostada shell, and then some cheese, and fold the tortilla over the tostada shell, put it in a pan just to kind of sear it and griddle it basically, and seal that fold so you can hold it in your hand. And that was actually really good. I was very impressed with that meat recipe, or that meat seasoning situation. I did learn something new that I have not fact checked, so don't necessarily quote me on it, but if you go and buy those Taco Bell, if you've bought a flavor packet for making a taco meat of any kind, they now have this Taco Bell brand, and I was told that Taco Bell sold the right to use their name, but it's not the blend. Lime juice was the other thing that was in with the tomato paste and beef paste. Sorry, I'm a little ADD, or a little distracted here. But the Taco Bell sold them the right to use their name, but it's not necessarily the seasonings that Taco Bell uses. So if you're going like, I want a Taco Bell flavored meat, I'm going to buy the Taco Bell packet, the packet that has their name on it, and you go, this does not taste like Taco Bell. There's a reason why they just sold them the right to use the name. That's what I've been told. I do not have a producer here to fact check me. I have to fact check myself, and maybe I will. Probably not. But that's what I was told. Not 100% sure if it's true or not. Let me know if you know. Let me know in the comments. And that was good. I think I made some Spanish rice to go along with it, maybe some refried beans. That's a typical situation when I have tacos, as those two items are going along with it, or burritos. Now, the next day I made, I don't know that I'm pronouncing this right, and I should know, but I don't. And it's that ditalini pasta with andouille sausage. And this is a pasta dish that I've made before that I love making. This just got a ton of flavor and something that is really pretty simple. I've said before that I don't love the dump pot or one pot dump meals type of thing, because it just is gross watching videos on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, and they are just taking stuff out of a can. It makes this nasty splat noise, like the suction. That's my impression of a Spam can, but you know what I'm talking about. People are doing that with their cream of chicken soup and just making them. So that's what a lot of that whole one pot dump meal thing is kind of gross to me. Just the thought, just the idea of it, I think is lazy. And stuff tastes okay, but you're not really cooking if all you're doing is dumping stuff out of each individual can and stirring it up and warming it up. That's just mixing. You're just mixing and heating is all you're doing. But this, I say all that to say that this is a nice meal because it all can be done in one pot. I use my Dutch oven. That's what I use for this. I think it's a great use of it because we're going to have pasta, and it takes up a lot of real estate inside of a pan. You could maybe use, if you had a really big, deep-sided, it wouldn't be a saucepan, but I don't know what those pans are called, but more of a flat frying pan type of situation. I'd recommend the Dutch oven if you have it, and all you do is, first I want to get kind of my aromatics going. So I take a little bit of olive oil, pour the olive oil in the pan, maybe, I don't know, a couple tablespoons. I just kind of 1-2 spin it and got that going and heat it up. And once it starts to shimmer, then I add my white onion or Vidalia onion, sweet onion, Spanish onion, whatever. Red onion, for that matter, would work. Use what you've got if you've got it. And then once those start to soften, then I add some garlic. Mince up some garlic, slice it if you want. I prefer to do something more along of a minced garlic for something like this. I don't necessarily want a chunk of garlic slice in the bite. I want it to kind of all become part of the sauce, part of the pasta, just the whole overall flavor, not an individual ingredient necessarily. So get those going, and then I threw in some peppers, some bell peppers, cut those up and put them in. I'm 2/3 of the way of what's in the South, considered the Holy Trinity if you're making a Cajun dish or something like that. In Louisiana, it's green bell pepper, celery, and onion. I honestly might have used a little, I don't know that celery would go with this, to be honest. I probably would have tried it just to see, maybe a little bit, but I didn't have any, so I didn't do that. But get those kind of everything all softened up. And then after that, what did I do from there? Threw a little bit of tomato paste in, I believe. Get that toasted up or heated up. Get the rawness kind of cooked out of it a little bit. And once that happened, I'm trying to think then I threw in the andouille sausage. Now, this is a pre-cooked andouille sausage that I used. I don't know if you can get it raw. I think it's part of the process of smoking of the meat, which would cook it. But if it does come in raw option, and that's what you get, obviously I would cook that first and cook it to your liking. If you like the sausage with a little bit of a sear on it or whatever, a little browning happening, do that. If you like it just as is. I just do it ahead of time just to get a little bit of that flavor in the pan. You're starting to develop a fond on the bottom of the pan when we're making all this. And then I took a little bit of flour. I probably did the flour before I dumped the sausage in, to be honest, just to kind of get everything and cook the rawness out of the flour. But if you threw it in after the meat, whatever. It's still going to pick up any excess moisture. Now we've got a pasty, lump-looking thing. And after that, I poured in a whole big can, like a 16-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. And there's enough liquid in there that it kind of deglazes the bottom of the pan. That fond is getting released from the bottom of the Dutch oven, and you can scrape it up with your spatula and get it mixed in and incorporated. And I want those tomatoes to kind of cook down. Now I've got the sausage, the aromatics in the crushed tomatoes, along with that tomato paste. That tomato paste and a little bit of flour, I didn't use a lot, will help to thicken the sauce. Or just the base sauce there of the tomatoes. And I cooked this it wasn't a long time, maybe a half hour. I want to take some of the rawness out of that can of crushed tomatoes as well. It's just not, can be really acidic and a little overwhelming if you don't. So if you've got the time, great, do it. If not, give it as long as you can. And then I think I just put seems like I would have done some oregano, maybe some basil. Almost gave it like an Italian seasoning flair. That andouille sausage is not like an Italian thing necessarily, but I'm not going for authenticity here at all. But so I put whatever herbs might sound good to you. I believe I did parsley and some basil, maybe a little bit of oregano. And let that go for a half hour. Let it kind of cook down. You're going to lose a little bit of the moisture and it's going to evaporate. I don't cover the pan because I want it to simmer and I do want some of that moisture out. Once that was done, then I poured heavy cream. I don't know, maybe a couple cups, maybe 1 cup. It might have only been about a cup. I'm trying to use less heavy cream when I'm making dishes like this because it just doesn't need to be so heavy on the cream. I'd like to be able to taste the tomato a little bit more and then maybe just have that creaminess be maybe not the main focus, but just as playing more of a support role. So I try to dial that back just a little bit because I love the taste of any type of a cream sauce. So I tend to go overboard on it, and then you start to lose all these flavors that you just put in. Can get overwhelmed. But I get the heavy cream in there, and then depending on how liquid or fluid it looks, it might need to add a little bit of water, or if you're afraid of diluting. A lot of times I'm afraid to add plain water because I think I'm going to dilute the mixture and the flavor, but You could add just a little bit of water if you wanted to do some sort of chicken stock or a vegetable stock to thin it down, because then we're going to dump the entire box of the ditalini pasta or whatever pasta you have, any like a rigatoni. I like for something like this, a macaroni noodle would even work. I probably wouldn't use a spaghetti or a fettuccine or any kind of a long noodle, just because it's not. I don't think it would really work as well, but maybe if that's the only thing and I got all the way to grabbing the pasta out of the pantry and realized I didn't have any other option, then I might try it. But any of these, and that ditalini is really nice because it's just like a macaroni noodle cut into little 1/4-inch long pieces, a little like somebody chopped a straw in little 1/4-inch chunks, and it just goes well. Makes it easy to eat with a spoon or even with a fork. It's fine. You don't have to go too crazy, and you can kind of pick and choose whatever. It's just a new pasta that I've never had, or I've had only a couple times, and so I don't know. I bought a handful of boxes. I think I bought 3 or 4 boxes when I got it. Pasta noodles are one of the things that I like to have in my pantry at all times as a fallback for if I don't know what to make. We've always got pasta that we can do. But this was a phenomenal dish. Let that go till your noodles are cooked and you're ready to serve. I would say if the only thing I did is top it with some Parmesan, and the Parmesan just adds that salty flavor, not kind of like an umami flavor too. That cheese Parmesan is just so good on top of it. And that was that night. And then the 4th, May the 4th, Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. I always think that I'm going to, I have like always wanted to do a May the 4th party. And that would involve people coming over, watching Star Wars, and it has never happened yet. Maybe next year's May the 4th. I'm really waiting for it to fall on the right night of the week. This was a Sunday night. I don't want to have, or Sunday was May the 4th, and I don't want to have a bunch of people over and be up late and I got to go to work in the morning. But I love Star Wars, and I think it's fun, and my kids are now old enough that they watch Star Wars and they like it. And I can do the, yes, May the 4th. The Yoda and the Luke. I can't do Vader. I need to like the ceiling fan. I always think of, was it Tommy Boy when he's in his office and he goes, Lola, Lily, Lola, and then does the thing with the fan. Anyway, if you haven't seen that, I'm sounding dumber than normal, but I enjoy Star Wars. That's the point of that story. And I didn't do anything Star Wars themed. I'm not a party planner. I'm more just love the idea of it. That being said, I had leftover food from making the Crunch Wraps and taco meat. So we had burritos for dinner. Beef burritos. And I think that's why, like, you look at the cost stuff. I haven't been going over the costs of these dinners, these meals. Honestly, everything I make, there is not a single thing that has been over $25 for a meal. It gets simple. Tacos, around $15 maybe for a meal of 4. There was enough left over to make another night of meals out of everything that I bought. And that's nice. And I'm getting better at eating leftovers. I can always do tacos. Sometimes I'll take the meat and make some sort of nachos out of it, or make some breakfast burritos and do something that way. But May 4th, I just did leftover tacos, reheated and made them again. And then that comes to May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. I did not do tacos on May 5th. I'm a person who, I don't like Taco Tuesday because I think it's too cutesy, and I don't know. I don't know why that kind of thing bugs me. It's Taco Tuesday or whatever. It's just Cinco de Mayo is different than that. That doesn't mean just everybody should eat tacos, but it's a Mexican. I don't know. I shouldn't even speak on it because I don't know what it all is about. I believe it's a Mexican holiday of some kind. I don't know why it is a holiday. Cinco de Mayo. It's just there's specials at every Mexican restaurant, and I don't have a feeling one way or another about that. It also fell on a Tuesday, I believe, so you could have. Nope, this would have been a Monday. Never mind. Couldn't have Taco Tuesday on Cinco de Mayo. Oh, well. I did not write down what I made. I don't know if I made anything or not. Oh, yeah, I did. Never mind. I made a quesadilla. I take back everything I said. I didn't have tacos, but I did have a quesadilla on Cinco de Mayo. So, like I've said before, I think Mexican food is something that I could have every day of the week and I would be fine. There's enough variation, especially if you start getting into the authentic. I could not eat Taco Bell style, American Taco Bell style Mexican food every day forever. But real Mexican food, I think I could do that every day. There's so much variety. And I don't know enough about the Italian cuisine. When I think of Italian, I think of pasta and a tomato sauce. And I know there's a lot of seafood, and I know there's a lot of other things, but it seems to always involve pasta. I love pizza. You could sell me on the pizza. And I like pasta, but I don't think I could do that specific cuisine all the time. If I know I don't know a lot about the cuisine there, but in my mind, what I do know of it, I love the food. I like all food. I don't think I do that every time. Mexican, I could do that every day of the week. I had a quesadilla. That was on the 5th. And then the next day, ordered pizza. Got some Hungry Howie's. Fast food pizza, my weakness. And it was very good. Not going to lie to you. They got a garlic-flavored crust and a ranch crust. I got a chicken bacon ranch pizza, and then we got a Hawaiian pizza. And I don't know why people don't like pineapple on their pizza. I get I think it's easy just to say, fruit on a pizza doesn't belong, it's gross. Okay, but if you actually tried it does taste good. And if you don't like it, then that's fine, but I don't really get it's a weird hill to die on, to me, that people get so angry, they hate people that have pineapple on their pizza. And it's not my favorite kind of pizza. It's my wife's top 2 favorite types of pizza, so that's why I get it. I will eat it, and I won't complain about it, but it's not the one. I like something spicy. I want something like that, but I just don't get the argument against pineapple on pizza. Just settle down. Unless somebody's forcing it down your throat, who cares what somebody orders? I like anchovies on pizza. A lot of people don't like that. I understand people not liking anchovies on pizza more than I do on not liking pineapple. Putting fish on pizza, I can see the argument against that. Salty fish, I love it, but I can see why people don't like that. Pineapple? No, get over it. Yeah. And then last night, guess what? More pizza. This was leftovers. Hey, you paid for it, might as well use it. Use it all, right? Why not? And then I didn't have to cook anything last night. I'm not averse to cooking, but I did have a band practice for playing some music on Mother's Day, doing a country gospel type of thing, so we had a practice for that. So I wasn't going to be around much last night to be able to cook dinner. And so we did, leftover pizza. Might as well eat it, or we're going to throw it away. And I really don't like I've said, I'm trying to cut down on the food waste. It's not good. Not good to waste food. That's it. That took a long time, like it always does, but I get into it. And I think it's fun to talk about what has been made over the last week, and also to admit my shortfalls in the confessional that is the Cook Better podcast last week's meals segment, because it's good to verbalize. It's good to write it down to remind myself that, hey, you didn't do a good job this week, or maybe did okay, but not the best. But then I got to do it again by just putting it on the podcast and being honest and telling people about it. So that really, you would think, would be motivation for me to get on it and do a little bit better of a job. But maybe it's not. Apparently it's not. That's okay. Actually, it's really isn't that bad. 50-50. I think I did good half the time this week. And you might be out there thinking, boy, I got fast food every night this week, or 6 of the last 7 nights. Okay. Then what I did, I shouldn't say it's that bad, because to you it might seem great. Or maybe you're a really good person and you ate all your vegetables every night this week. And I had some fruit on my pizza. I don't know if there's any vegetables. There's tomatoes and pizza sauce. So, yeah, it wasn't terrible. Anyway, let's move on. I think this week I really want to talk about camping. And here's why I want to talk about camping. Because I've been thinking about camping. That's why. And I like camping. It's a lot of fun. It's not something, I don't know if you camp, but it's not something that I grew up with. I didn't do that as a kid, really. I remember a camping trip. It just wasn't something that my family did a lot of, or hardly any of. And I can see why. If I had 4 kids, it would be a lot more difficult. The one thing, though, that I always thought was funny, and I don't know if my dad listens to my podcast. He might not. More than likely he doesn't. But if he does, I think that's okay. So what I'm going to say is not bad, but just one of those. My experience in camping, there could be a little bit of work to it. I know my dad. I am like my dad in many ways. And one of those ways, I believe, I have not confirmed this with him, but I believe, is that when he goes on a vacation, he wants to relax, not be doing stuff all the time. And I like camping because a lot of camping is just sitting around the fire pit, having fun. If you go with friends or even just your own family, but you sit around the fire, have s'mores, whatever, and it's really pretty relaxing. It is a little stressful driving. If you've got a big camper or something like that, it can be a little stressful setting up and backing into the park, into the campsite and doing that. But it's I'm surprised we didn't do it more, but I'm also not surprised. I mean, you got to have a camper, at least with my kind of camping. I am steps away from glamping. I don't like that word. I don't like cutesy words like that, but it is probably accurate. There's a reason these words exist, and we are not to the glamping stage, the glamorous camping or whatever, basically all the luxuries of home at a campground, but it's very close. It's very close. Some people may argue that we are. If you're somebody like my friend Johnny and his wife and kids that go camping with a backpack and the tent on their back and maybe go hike and put up their tents in a random location on federal property and just set up shop and do that, and then you look at the way that I camp, then yeah, I probably would fall into that category. But we are not, definitely in no way, shape, or form, the massive fifth wheel that looks like that is more expensive than many people's houses type of a situation either. We're kind of in the middle. My wife and I started out tent camping when we first got married. Again, I didn't grow up camping. My wife did, and so she really wanted to go, and friends of hers did, and became friends of mine, obviously, too. So we'd go with these couples, and we would do tent camping. And that's really what all of us couples did. We're right out of high school, college age. Nobody's got any money. None of us are buying campers, that's for sure. And it was a lot of fun. And there's a simplicity about it that is very appealing to me in some sense, because you don't have to have all these things. You have a tent, and you set up your tent, and you do whatever. The downside to them is you have to have coolers full of ice to keep your stuff cold. It's not like a camper that has a refrigerator where you can just put it in the refrigerator. It always seems to rain on the day before that you are leaving, so you have to pack your tent up and it's all wet, or it rains through the night and it leaks through the tent. I've never met a person with a tent that is 100% waterproof. They always are, make sure to put your stuff elevated, because if it rains, you're getting water in the tent. But there's sounding too weird, there's an intimacy as well for camping. You're not in a house pulled behind your vehicle. You're in a small tent, and I mean that in the kind of the broader sense of the word, that it's just your little spot. You don't need a lot to bring with you. That's it. But we went from that, and then we had kids, and we kind of got into a pop-up camper, which was very nice. I like that a lot. Again, the biggest issue there is any kind of privacy. We had young kids, baby still, and baby crying or whatever. It's basically tent walls on a trailer, so it's not soundproof. If the kid's crying or whining, the other people in the campground can hear it and get annoyed. If the other people in the campground are being loud when you're trying to put your kid to sleep, which was more often the case, then your kid can't fall asleep because it can hear everything and everybody's sitting by the fire pit. So then we moved on to what we have currently is just a hard-sided bumper pole camper. But it's a lot of fun. It's cool. The kids love it. We like going with friends. It just gives you... when you take time off of work or at home, the staycation, another word that I hate, it's just like you always feel like you need to be working on projects around the house. A lot of times if you take a vacation and stay home, you are doing it for the purpose of getting things done around the house. But when you go camping or when you go vacationing elsewhere, that's not an option because you're not at home. And so you don't even think about it. That's the problem, or things that we will worry about when we get home. When I'm here, I'm vacationing, and camping can be cheaper than obviously renting an Airbnb or staying at a hotel or having to fly somewhere. We're talking traveling within 5 hours. We went up to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan last year. Beautiful. There's enough awesome places to see within 5-6 hours that you don't have to go that far, even 2 or 3 hours from where I'm at. There's tons of campgrounds to go to and explore. And in Michigan, there is no shortage of lakes and rivers and sand dunes and beaches that would rival, in my opinion. I'm not alone in this opinion, but somebody who lives on the ocean might feel differently. But I would take Lake Michigan or in one of the Great Lakes any day. Beautiful beaches, no sharks in the water, and no tide. So you can't beat it. I don't think there's a tide anyway. Maybe there's a little tide depending on what part of the Great Lakes you're in. I don't know. I don't know these things. But camping is a lot of fun. The other thing about camping is it seems to be an excuse, of which I need very little, to eat like garbage. And it's like, we got a fire going every night. I mean, s'mores. Now, s'mores don't tempt me, really. I could go the rest of my life never having another s'more. And in the last 3 years, even out camping, I don't think I've even had a s'more. Make them for the kids. Now, finally, my kids are getting old enough to just, can't think and talk at the same time. They're getting old enough to do s'mores to roast their marshmallows on their own and not just light them on fire, then fling them around. The group that we go with a lot every year, or once a year at least for a week camping with, we all had kids around the same time. So there was a time when there was about 8 or 9 kids under the age of 4 that all wanted to roast marshmallows, and they all start on fire, and then they fling them around, and it's like that Dennis the Menace movie. I don't know if you ever saw that, where he's flinging it back and forth, trying to get the fire out, and I just kept waiting for the marshmallow to fly off and hit somebody in the face. That's what happened in the movie. Thankfully, that has never happened. But s'mores is one of those very basic camp foods. Everybody thinks of s'mores and when you have a campfire. And we're taking marshmallow. The basic one is marshmallow, graham cracker, and Hershey's chocolate. Now, if I'm having it in that style of a s'more, I prefer a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup myself in place of the Hershey's. I think that peanut butter is a better flavor. And it's hard to beat a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup of any kind in any situation. So that's one way to elevate your s'more by doing that. Now, last year I did something for the first time that ended up being very good, very decadent in a way. I don't know if that's the word, but very rich, and was a variation on the s'more. The picture I've got looks like something out of a book, but it's a similar flavors that you get with s'mores, but this was just fun to make. And that was to take a very thick slab of bacon. If you could buy get it at least a 1/4 inch thick. You want a real piece of bacon here. So yeah, around a 1/4 inch thick, a thick cut slab, and cook that bacon. Then you take jet puffed, like the marshmallow cream, and let the bacon cool down a little bit. It's not necessary that the bacon is really hot. As a matter of fact, if it's hot, it's probably going to melt some of the marshmallow cream. But take a marshmallow cream that you get in like a jar and smear that on, and with the back of the spoon kind of just make a dollop across the bacon. Now, I cut the bacon strips in half, so we're only talking like a little 5-inch chunk of bacon here, and smear that on there so it looks, or dollop whatever you think is appropriate for you. And then we took, I took the back of a spoon. I made some chocolate shavings. I got dark chocolate. I like dark chocolate better than milk chocolate. I'm not a snob about many things, or really anything. But I worked with a guy from England who always gave me crap like I had anything to do with it about American chocolate and how terrible American chocolate is. And he's from England. And he said American chocolate's terrible, and he would buy these chocolate bars from different stores that apparently were good chocolate, and he would show them to me like he just won a prize or something. He goes, "Oh, look at this chocolate." It's not like he was offering me a piece of it. He just wanted to show me that this is a real piece of chocolate, and he's okay, whatever. But I would agree with him, not being a chocolate expert. I don't like Hershey's chocolate. It's just pure sugar, not a lot of the chocolate. I like a dark chocolate myself. I guess I say all that to say that. I like dark chocolate. So I bought a good dark chocolate candy bar. And on the back, it was smooth. Now, if you take either a knife, and you have to be careful, whatever that goes, I shouldn't have to say that. If you're handling a knife, be careful. Sometimes the back of a metal spoon will work, but just drag it long ways, sideways, across the back of the chocolate, and it makes shavings. And depending on how hard or brittle or soft it might be, you can get little curls almost if you can catch it just right. And so you've got your bacon covered with that jet puff, and then chocolate curls on it. Now, I think I just got the order wrong. You got your bacon, your marshmallow fluff, and then I had pulverized graham cracker, crushed it up, really powder almost, then scoop it with a spoon and shake it over that marshmallow fluff. This is on the plate. If you're going for a cool presentation, you just let that kind of fall around it, and just put a whole bunch of that graham cracker that's all crushed up into small pieces, almost into a powder. Shake it over top, and then put your shavings of your chocolate on top of that. And if you wanted to dress it up a little, you put a little mint on there if you're making it for somebody trying to be real fancy. If you're just eating it while you're camping like we were, I It did not do anything with the mint, but everything else we did, it was on paper plates too, and it tasted really good. But how could it not? You got bacon, you got the marshmallow fluff, you've got chocolate, the graham cracker, you've got textural differences with the meatiness, kind of chewy. Then you've got the fluff. That's the marshmallow fluff that's airy and sweet. It's all sweet except for the bacon, which is salty. And then you got the graham cracker, which provides some crunch, and the chocolate, which has just that cocoa, that bitterness, a little bit of sweetness there too, but you've got the bitterness and then just the softness as the chocolate melts. The textural, just kind of all the different textures there. And if you do any of the fresh mint on there, then you get some freshness there as well, and that worked really good. That was something, I tried that for the first time. That wasn't a camping staple. It was just, I don't, like I said, I just don't like regular s'mores necessarily. So I wanted to try something with those flavors that was a little bit different. And I'm sure you can go on Pinterest and find a bunch of people that post recipes or pictures of it if you want to see what it looks like. And it's just fun to make. My daughter enjoyed helping me do it. So that was a lot of fun. And then, that's just kind of s'mores. I've seen people do with like a waffle cone. Similarly, do that Jet Puff setup, or I keep saying Jet Puff. It's like a brand, but the marshmallow cream and put it in a waffle cone or in a sugar cone, and then stick like chocolate chips down in the cone, and then you can kind of eat it. I like that method. In theory, I think it would be, I've never done it. In theory, it seems like it would be a little less messy, but I can see once you start getting into the cone, it's just going to be a disaster no matter what. But I've seen some people get real fancy with it, and they get their marshmallow cream kind of piled just at the tip of the cone, then stick the cone in the fire to brown that marshmallow fluff, and it just looks beautiful. Give it a try. I might be trying that this year. I think I would. And I'd probably put Reese's Peanut Butter Cups inside. But, health food. And, that's a great, I guess if I'm on desserts, Doughie's is what my friend TJ and Kelly, that's what they always called them. I don't know if that's the name or what everybody calls them. But you need a stick. You can do the way I did and the way they did and buy a dowel from Home Depot or Lowe's, or get like a 4-foot long I would say to get the 5/8, 3/4 inch dowel, probably 3/4 inch of pine or whatever. And then you spray the end of the dowel with a cooking spray or white butter on it, however you want to do it. And then take a can of, I don't think it was crescent roll. I think it was the biscuit mix, like a Pillsbury biscuit, and flatten it out, roll it out like a snake, and then you just start like 4 or 5 inches from the tip of this dowel, this wood stick, and wrap it so that all the edges are touching each other, but wrap it and roll it around that dowel. And then when you get to the end, just kind of smash it all together. So you're basically capping the end of this wood dowel with biscuit dough. And then you hold that over the fire, and it takes a lot longer than a marshmallow because it's a dough that needs to cook. And once that's cooked and browned, now you've got, and you just slide it off that dowel, and then you can put butter down inside of it. You can do with cinnamon and sugar. Or put a little butter on the outside. I like to do as well, a little cinnamon and sugar on the outside. Just a good dessert type setup is always really good. And TJ, I've seen him. I've never done it. I don't need to. I know I'd like it because I like garbage food just as much as the next person. But he'll do like the can of the cheese, spray cheese in a can and squirt some of that in there, and then shove a hot dog in there and eat it like a biscuit hot dog thing. And I'm sure it does taste good. It sounds disgusting in ways because it is, but I'm sure it tastes good. But that's what he does. And that's a great dessert. I love the fry pies. Those are another great dessert. This is how you burn the roof of your mouth for days. And that is to do the fry pies like a cast iron, or they have aluminum ones, and you put the bread on each, butter the slice of bread, put it on the aluminum. It's this thing that has handles that opens to either side. You put your bread buttered, and then you can fill it with fruit filling. Or if you're doing it for a dinner, you would fill it with, then I do the butter on the bread, and I put garlic powder, garlic salt, and onion powder on it, then put it down on, like you're making a grilled cheese pretty much, on each side of the fry pie, and put pizza filling inside. Or you can do ham and cheese or whatever, and then you close it up, put it over the fire. For dessert, like doing the fruit-filled ones, you can use apple pie filling, blueberry, cherry, whatever would work for a pie filling. I've had before, you do the blueberry with like some cream cheese in the middle too, almost like a toaster strudel. You can also take that buttered side, and before you put it in the fry pie, put cinnamon and sugar on the outside of it. And now you've got like a cinnamon and sugar fry pie, almost an empanada type of a situation, or a hand pie if you're from the South. That's deep fried though. And then, but you know, it's a fruit filled pie basically. And those are fun to make over the fire too. But I tell you what, you do not need to bite into that for a while, because you will burn your mouth so bad. And you know you're going to burn your mouth every time. And you still do it. I still do it every time, especially with the pizza. I love pizza, and so I make that, and it smells so good, and I know it's going to taste good, and I make it. But I make a lot of things for breakfast. I enjoy breakfast. I have a Blackstone that I bring, and this just makes things so much easier. And you can cook over the fire. One of the guys that we go with a lot, he likes to be more of the purist and cook over the fire a little bit more. I tell you one thing, like I said, none of this camping food is health food. You can make it health food if you want, but I don't typically. When I go, when we're out playing cards and having a drink after all the kids have gone to bed and we're doing whatever, we'll throw pizza rolls over an open fire on a grill grate over the open fire. I tell you what, that is the best way to cook pizza rolls. So if you're ever thinking, what are we going to get for snacking on when the kids are in bed or whatever, get some pizza rolls. It tastes good. But I bring my Blackstone. And so for breakfast, I'll do eggs. I'll do scrambled eggs. I'll do hash browns, some bacon, some, your basic kitchen stuff. And really you can make anything you can make at home, you can make while you're camping. It's just, do you have the different tools you have to bring with you in order to be able to do that? It's just something different about waking up, having a cup of coffee in the morning when you're sitting out. It still smells like campfire, and you're just know it's a relaxing vacation day. It just makes it that much better. I like making breakfast burritos when I do that for breakfast. And one thing I'll do, and you can do this with a breakfast burrito, or you can do this with a regular burrito. This was, again, inspired by fast food, but I promise, I have not done this ever at home. I don't know why I haven't, because it tastes so great. But you make your burrito, make a chorizo burrito with egg, maybe some hash browns inside of it, some cheese of some kind, whatever cheese you might want, and that makes an awesome breakfast burrito. Or do it with sausage. And make sure you got some cilantro and what have you. Maybe some sort of Southwest aioli or a sauce of some kind to put inside of the breakfast burrito too. But I'll take some cheddar cheese or some Colby Jack cheese or whatever I've got. And when you've got a Blackstone or any kind of a griddle, you could really do it in a pan too. Dump a bunch of that cheese in the pan. Now, what are we doing with our cheese? We're getting it in a block and shredding it ourselves. Not buying bags of shredded cheese. I don't want the cellulose in there. I want the cheese to melt nice and not be grainy, and that it's just unnecessary. I recently found out that feta cheese, I don't know why I never thought of it. When I buy feta cheese or blue cheese, I've bought the stuff that's crumbled in the container, and it's just blue cheese crumbles or feta cheese crumbles. Never thought twice about it. It's the same thing. They use cellulose to keep the crumbles from sticking together. Like, you got to be kidding me. And I don't know why it didn't cross my mind that's what they did. I just thought because they're odd-shaped clumps and they're not as uniform as a bag of shredded cheese that it's not the case. But buy a block of feta cheese, buy a block of blue cheese, crumble it yourself. We don't need the cellulose. Ugh, drives me nuts. But take your shredded cheese that you shredded yourself, sprinkle it on the griddle or in the pan, a big handful, and lay it out flat. The fat is going to start to separate. The cheese is going to start to brown. You can take your spatula and just see when it loosens, when it breaks free from once it starts to brown, it'll break free from the pan. It won't stick. And or the griddle. And you don't want to burn it, so you got to watch this. And then right before it's done, you set your burrito on the one side of your big circle of cheese, and then you roll it across. And now you have got a breakfast burrito or even a regular burrito that is covered in a layer of fried cheese. This is why I said cook better. Not cook great, not cook healthy, not eat better. I don't know. It's terrible for you. But I tell you what, it tastes really good. It tastes really good. Try it. Again, I only do this when I'm camping. It's the excuse to eat like garbage. And it's great. But I'll do that. I mean, for breakfast, and now we're talking about, the only downside with camping is you're limited on space and you don't have, but you're also making 3 meals a day, which you would be anyway. But it just feels like more when you're camping. And we do a lot of sandwiches for lunches. A lot of sandwiches. A lot of times we're going to a beach, pack up a sandwich. I really enjoy making the ham sandwiches with that butter, minced onion, poppy seed, mustard spread, and cheese, because it doesn't involve getting 10 different things out to make a sandwich. It's just the ham, the cheese, and that spread makes a fantastic sandwich. But we'll do stuff like BLTs or whatever, and you can do just anything, really. You can do everything at home. But we'll do a lot of sandwiches for lunches. We'll do like cinnamon rolls maybe for breakfast too. And then for dinners, a lot of times what we do is kind of, if we're eating together with a group, we'll kind of figure out what we're going to make, and everybody will kind of make the same thing for the same night. We'll do the pizza pies, the pizza fry pies. We'll do the other stuff like that. And tacos one night or burritos or whatever. And then maybe we'll do, just anything that works kind of good for a big group. And then when you've got 4 or 5 different couples and you all have kids too, when you're feeding the kids, if one night somebody's got tacos, the other night somebody's got burgers, or you're having them all the different things, and then I want to have burgers. How come they can have burgers? So it's easier just say Monday night we're all doing tacos, Tuesday night we're all doing burgers, Wednesday night we're all doing whatever. To keep it simple. But really the big thing with with camping too is snacks, because you're going to the beach. You're sitting around the fire and you're doing a lot of snacking. So this will be a time when we'll make like Muddy Buddies, the Chex Mix that has chocolate on it and powdered sugar, or we'll make a Lacey, friend of ours, she makes pretzels that have like ranch seasoning on them, or I'll make oyster crackers that have a ranch seasoning that's really good, or I like to try something different all the time. So sometimes I'll just find a different trail mix type of a thing. They can make Chex Mix. There's one that has oyster crackers with a butter brown sugar situation going on that is just a great snack to have while you're playing cards at the end of the night. And we'll do like cheese dips too. We'll make a nacho cheese dip or have chips and salsa, or a spinach artichoke dip or something like that. It's just all great snacks and things to have out when you're all hanging out together. And I also really enjoy like a macaroni salad. This wouldn't be to snack on necessarily. Just go along with a meal go along with hot dogs, a macaroni salad or a potato salad or a tuna salad, something like that. And of course, you can do basic and just, mix nasty, just do mayonnaise and noodles basically and a little bit of celery, or you can really get into it and make it taste good. Put the fresh dill in there and season your stuff and get a lot of vegetables in and do what it takes to make the food taste good and not just be whatever, there's so many things we call salad that are just, I don't know why they're called salads. I don't know how that started. Maybe there just was no other name for it. Because a pasta with mayonnaise and whatever and sugar and apple cider vinegar and whatever, that's not a salad. No part of that on its own is even an ingredient in a salad unless you're using some kind of vinegar to make a vinaigrette. But I guess whatever. I wasn't consulted, and nor do I have a better suggestion, in all honesty. So I'll leave that one alone. But those mayonnaise-based pasta salads, so to speak, are just a great and refreshing. If they're, you got to keep them in the refrigerator. They got to stay cold with the mayonnaise in there, and it just is a cool, refreshing thing. In the summertime, it's 90-some degrees outside. You're swimming. It's just something that I enjoy to have that goes along well. And it's something that you can make ahead of time. That's also key when you're camping. You're not spending a bunch of time making food inside or there, and then you don't have to have all those ingredients you're packing up. You make it at home. They store well. You can they stay good. A lot of those type of salads, quote unquote, they tend to get better day 2 or 3, in all honesty, as the flavors start to absorb. And then you've got fruit. You can make some kind of a fruit salad, or just have fresh fruit or watermelon or corn on the cob, or in these fresh vegetables. Fire roasted vegetables are so good. And so do that. That's your other options. Do the fire roasted vegetables. And I think that just camping's an excuse to just do things slightly different. Cook over an open fire. It's not something, I'm not going out in my backyard or in my driveway and starting a fire necessarily. I don't know why I say necessarily. I'm not doing that to make dinner. Even if it's in a grill, it's a gas grill. I'm not cooking over an open flame. Is something that's just fun in itself. You can take, I don't know, we used to call them hobo pies, where you take a meat and potato and onion and some butter, maybe some beans or something like that, and wrap them in tin foil and just set them in the coals of the fire, and they cook, and and that's a great meal. You got a lot of flavor. Season it, salt and pepper, maybe a little Lowry's, or whatever you might, depending on the meat you're making, however you would season it. It's just good to cook in a different way slightly. And that's kind of what I do. I know I'm missing some stuff. The big thing is snacks. I think camping is just an excuse where there's not much else going on. Everybody has to focus on, there's just not as much distraction as there is at home. And when you can be out with just your family, and I enjoy that. I enjoy being with friends. It's a time to catch up and just get to, as you become an adult, you have kids and you do this stuff, and even if you don't have kids, whatever, but life gets busy. You don't see people as much as you used to. You're not going out every weekend anymore like you used to, or like I used to with these people. And so it's nice to have an excuse to get together and catch up, go fishing. That's the ideal situation, is you're camping in somewhere you can go fishing and you can catch some fish and you can cook fresh fish for dinner over the fire. That's when you know you're living. That's when you know you're living. But anyway, that's what I do with camping. I would love to hear what is a go-to thing for you camping. for food. I know I'm missing some stuff that I would do, but I think that it's just so fun and interesting to see the different ways, like that wooden dowel thing. It's just something that the kids know, and hey, we got the stick that we use for doughies. Yeah, and if you didn't have that, you could just go to a tree, find a limb. I'd had my son do that the first year because I didn't have a dowel, so my son was more than happy to find a stick. He shaved the bark off with a knife, and then we just used a real tree branch out of the woods. It's not as, until next year we bought a wooden dowel, but it's kind of fun to do that kind of stuff. Go on a trail, go hiking a little bit. Also sit by the fire and relax and have a drink and just talk. It's a lot of fun. It's a great time. It's something that I look forward to more and more, and it's something I enjoy doing with my kids more and more, just to get them to, they have to be around you because there's nowhere else to go. You can go ride your bike or scooter around a little bit maybe, but that's about it. So let me know. I love to hear ideas for this camping season before the summer starts. Leave a comment, and I would appreciate any input. Like, follow, all the fun stuff. Thanks for listening. I hope this helped out a little bit, maybe gave you an idea of what you can do when you go camping. I will talk to you next time.